spies into Catholic parishes and probably, frankly, other Christian churches on the basis of these churches' theology. They designated and they created a list, an actual list. The United States government created a list of Catholic parishes and groups it did not like, branded.
Fellow Patriots, welcome back to the channel where we stand for freedom, faith, and the Constitution of these United States. Today, we need to talk about something that's not just shocking, it's downright un-American. I'm talking about the FBI targeting Catholic churches, recruiting informants to spy on our fellow countrymen, and labeling people of faith as extremists. Yes, you heard me right. This is what our government was up to just a few years ago. And if it doesn't boil your blood, I don't know what will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Dillon, good to see you. You're doing a great job. Thanks for being here. I want to ask you about discrimination of a somewhat different kind. That's discrimination on the basis of religion. In the last administration, I'm sure you remember, the FBI issued a memorandum in which it attempted to recruit informants, spies, into Catholic parishes and probably, frankly, other Christian churches on the basis of these churches' theology. They designated and they created a list, an actual list. The United States government created a list of Catholic parishes and groups it did not like, branded them as traditionalist Catholics, I guess that's now a slur, and tried to recruit spies into these churches, which is unbelievable to me. I mean, you want to talk about a violation of one's civil rights. To my knowledge, that memo has never been formally withdrawn. The Attorney General of the United States at the time, Merrick Garland, sat where you're sitting, first denied it, then attempted to defend it. It is, in fact, totally indefensible. My question to you is, what can be done about discrimination like this by our own governmental institutions? I think one of the things people voted for in electing the current president, who I was proud to support, is they voted to put a stop to that kind of discrimination, to that kind of abuse of our own citizens by our own government. And I just submit to you, of all the abuses of the Biden era, and there were a lot, there's nothing lower than trying to recruit spies into churches to inform on your countrymen because, what, you don't like what's being preached from the pulpit? I mean, this is insane stuff, and they were using the FBI to do it. Can something be done about this to hold accountable the people within the DOJ and the FBI who perpetrated what I frankly think are crimes? I mean, what can we do about this?
Well, Senator, first I want to assure you that the policy that you just described would appear to be a dead letter today. We are certainly not doing anything of that nature in the Civil Rights Division or, to my knowledge, throughout the United States Department of Justice. Good. To the contrary, I would say, and I've been a civil liberties lawyer in favor of religious liberties for over 3 decades, this is the most religion-friendly Department of Justice in United States history. In the Civil Rights Division so far, we have taken action to side with a Catholic coach in the Overreach case who was fired for refusing to take the COVID vaccine. We intervened in a lawsuit in Washington State, also where Overreach is from, to challenge that state's discrimination against Catholic clergy, enforcing and trying to pierce their priest penitent privilege, and that law was just enjoined this week by a federal judge in Washington State. We have opened up numerous, in just less than 100 days, Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act, majority for the Christian community, but also for Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, and other faiths as well. And we have opened up investigations into anti-Semitism throughout the United States. And I've been told by Jewish leaders who sat in my conference room that they had similar conversations with my predecessor because this problem is not a new problem, unfortunately. It is a problem that has been going on for years. And while my predecessor kindly nodded and listened to their complaints, nothing happened. Things are happening in this administration, and our door is open to people of all faiths to come and tell us what is happening, zoning violations, discrimination. Certainly if the government is spying on them, that would be outrageous, and I would be interested to know names and dates, and we would begin an investigation into that, sir.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I think we need to find out. I mean, we need names and dates. We need to know who authored that memo. And those people, their names need to be made public. And if they are still employed, God forbid, at the FBI or the Department of Justice, they need to be fired. I mean, I just think we need some accountability, don't you? I mean, I think if you look at what's happened in the last 4 years, you look at how religious rights were trampled upon. Let's not forget during COVID, who was shut down? Do you remember who was shut down during COVID? The churches, the synagogues. Who was open? Oh well, the marijuana dispensaries, they were open. Democrat Party donors, all the corporations gave the Democrat Party, they were all open. But churches closed, synagogues closed. And then to have our own FBI recruiting informants into our churches, it's outrageous. I think we need to know who wrote these memos, who approved them, where were they distributed, and I think people need to be fired for it. And then I think, if possible, they need to be prosecuted for it. Don't you think? I mean, don't you think it's time for some accountability? I think we've got to turn the page and do better, sure, but we've got to hold accountable the people who did this in the first instance, or they'll just do it again.
Well,
They'll just do it again.
Senator, I agree with you. I mean, I was privileged to win between my law firm and my nonprofit 3 cases at the United States Supreme Court during COVID to protect the rights of Christians to be able to pray in my state of California. And the governor is still the governor, and there has been no accountability in that state for the gross violations of every person's right of faith. And so I hope that voters ultimately hold the elected leaders accountable, but certainly people who grossly violated the First Amendment those are names I'd like to know, and we will look into that as a result of.
This is my last thing, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you for holding this hearing. I just think that you're right about voters, and voters did they voted for a change in November. They voted for accountability, and now we've got to give it to them. And I just want to, I know you're not in charge of the FBI, but I just want to send a clear message to everybody who is. There has got to be some accountability for what has happened with our government. There has got to be accountability for how it was abused. And religious believers were abused in the last 4 years, over and over and over. And we've talked about it, and we've held hearings on it, and now it's time to do something about it. And the people who perpetrated these outrageous abuses of our First Amendment rights, they need to be held accountable. They need to be held accountable, and they need to be held accountable as soon as possible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now let's break this down. Here we have a sitting U.S. Senator grilling a DOJ official over an FBI memo that singled out traditionalist Catholics, not radical militants, not foreign operatives, Catholics, people going to church, practicing their faith, and living in accordance with their beliefs. The FBI literally created a list of churches they didn't like and tried to infiltrate them. Folks, if this doesn't scream government overreach, I don't know what does. Let's call this what it is. An attack on the First Amendment. Our Constitution guarantees us the right to freedom of religion, free from government interference. But instead of protecting that sacred right, the FBI decided it was their job to monitor what's being preached from a pulpit. Why? Because some bureaucrats didn't like traditional Catholic theology? Because they didn't agree with the values being taught in these churches? It's absolutely insane. And let's not forget the hypocrisy here. During COVID, they shut down our churches and synagogues, but guess what stayed open? Marijuana dispensaries, liquor stores, big corporations that donate millions to the Democratic Party. Apparently, worshiping God was too dangerous, but getting high or shopping at Walmart was perfectly fine. It's almost like they wanted to send a message. Your faith doesn't matter, but their agenda does. Now, this DOJ official, Mr. Dillon, says that the current administration is the most religion-friendly in U.S. history. Really? I'm sorry, but actions speak louder than words. Sure, they've taken a few steps to protect religious liberty, like helping a Catholic coach fired for refusing to take the COVID vaccine, but what about accountability for what happened before? What about the FBI agents who wrote that memo? What about the people who approved it? Are they still sitting comfortably in their taxpayer-funded jobs? Because if they are, that's a slap in the face to every American who values their rights. Here's the thing, Patriots. It's not enough to just say, oh, we're not doing that anymore. We need accountability. We need names, dates, and consequences. The people who thought it was okay to spy on churches need to be fired. And if they broke the law, and let's be real, they probably did, they need to be prosecuted. Otherwise, what's stopping them from doing it again? What's stopping the next administration from targeting another group they don't like? Whether it's Catholics, evangelicals, Jews, or Muslims, No one should ever have to worry about their government spying on them because of their faith. And you know what? The senator hit the nail on the head. This isn't just about what happened in the past. It's about making sure it never happens again. We've seen what happens when we let bureaucrats and politicians trample on our rights. Look at the COVID lockdowns. They used a public health crisis as an excuse to shut down churches while keeping their donor-funded businesses open. And now we're supposed to believe it was all for our own good? Give me a break. Patriots, we have to stay vigilant. We have to demand accountability. The FBI and DOJ work for us, not the other way around. We pay their salaries. We trust them to uphold the Constitution, not shred it to pieces. And if they can't do that, then it's time to clean house. Fire the bad actors. Prosecute the ones who broke the law. And let's make sure our government never again targets people because of their faith. This is why elections matter, folks. This is why we need leaders who will stand up for the Constitution and hold these agencies accountable. The senator is right. Voters demanded change in November. Now it's time to deliver. If we don't, we're just inviting more abuse of power in the future. So here's what I need you to do. Share this video. Talk to your friends, your family, your neighbors. Let them know what's been happening behind closed doors. And let's send a clear message to our leaders. We will not stand for government overreach. We will not let them trample on our rights. And we will hold them accountable. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Catholics. It's about every American's right to worship freely, without fear of government interference. It's about defending the Constitution. And it's about making sure that the United States of America remains the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thanks for watching, Patriots. Stay strong, stay free, and God bless America.